Welcome everyone. Welcome to our top webinar today. So this webinar is actually organized by Animite and Streamline together. And the topic we are going to talk in the next 45 minutes will be how to reach optimum inventory with AI-powered demand sensing approach. Yeah, so before the webinar, please let us introduce ourselves first. My name is Lucy, and I am the Partner Success Manager at Streamline. So besides the experience in Streamline, I used to work as the advanced purchaser in the electronic industry and also the supply chain consultant. And it's really glad to be the host today and cooperate with Shita to organize this webinar. Yeah, so Shita is the COO at Animite, and she has many years of experience in the planning and forecasting, and she is also a real expert in the statistical technicals. Yeah, so Shita, please say hi to our attendees here.
Hey, hi everyone. Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon to all of you. This is Sheetal, and Lou, thank you so much for introduction and for giving me an opportunity for this webinar. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, so I just wanted to take a brief 2 minutes just to talk about who we are as Animite, what do we do. So, and we basically help companies improve planning and forecasting capability. And for that, we have solutions, services, and training programs. So as part of solutions, we are partners with GMDH Software, and we represent them here in India. It's one of the great solutions which can help you with demand planning, supply planning, inventory optimization, MRP planning, and all of it. And a few things we will talk during the webinar. But then that's one of the verticals that we have. The second vertical is on planning service, where we help companies become partners and help them with their planning activities by providing our services in various segments. We also provide training programs for our customers as part of the third vertical. And as part of Animite, we have been recognized along with Streamline here in India as a Logistic Insider as one of the top 6 planning solution provider. We have also been recognized by Alden ICM as India's top and best demand planning solution provider, and we have also been recognized by the Daily Finance and Rising Star, which is Finance Online. So some of the recognition that we have had over a period of time, we are extremely proud of it, and look forward to today's webinar. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shita, to let us know more about Animite. And talking about Streamline, I will also give you an overview here. So with more than 1,200 of the customers from different industries, and also with more than 200 of the strategic partners worldwide. So Streamline now has already been a leading company, global provider of the supply chain planning and the predictive, and also based on the AI solutions and dynamic simulations. So if you want to see more details and review some real feedbacks from our customers, you can click the link that we send out in the chat box. You can reach more information on the G2. Yeah, Shita, do you have anything you want to add here?
Oh, absolutely, Lou. We have been working with Streamline for quite a long time now. And yes, we have personally seen Streamline to be a great application, which is easy to set up. It's quite easy to implement, and our customers have seen quite immense benefits. It's a innovative AI-powered solution. So I would really urge all of you to just go and check the link which is posted in the chat. You would find pretty good insight about Streamline application.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I think now you may already know much more about ourselves and also about our company. So now we want to know a little bit about you. So could you please type in the chat box, like where are you located, please? Yeah, because we received a lot of the registration, more than 100 of the registration on LinkedIn, and we are really glad to see so many of you has already attended the webinar today. Yeah, so we want to know more about you. Yeah, we already see someone typed here. Yeah, we see from Malaysia, from Bangladesh, Yeah, from India, welcome. And Eraser, wow. Yeah, and also from Bangladesh. Yeah, seems like a really active market for us now. Yeah, and the Bangkok, India, welcome all of you. Yeah, South Africa, even South Africa, Singapore. Yeah, welcome all of you to be here. And yeah, for sure, we will take this chance to brainstorming together about the topic. Thank you so much. Okay, so in this webinar, so whenever you have any questions to us, you can please feel free to submit in the Q&A session. You can write down, and in the last Q&A session, we will find time to answer them all together. And also, we will offer poll questions. So we want to know more about your thoughts. So please feel free to select the answer. And also after the webinar, we will offer the recording and also all of the related materials through the email. So you can review it, or please feel free to share with others. Thank you so much. Okay, so now let's go to the webinar topic. So the main content that we are going to talk today will be 5 parts here. So using AI to generate an accurate forecast, understand the relationship between forecast accuracy and the safety stock levels, identify the potential losses and the excess stock, determine the stockout levels based on the different constraints, such as forecast accuracy, lead times, and service levels. And the last one is the demand sensing and its impact. Okay, so I think now it's your turn. Shita, please go ahead.
Yeah, so we would have a poll after this, and
yes,
if we can start on the poll, I think that would be great.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, thank you, Shita, for the reminder. So here is the first poll questions we will have here. So what is your greatest supply chain planning challenge? Yeah, now I think you already have this question on your screen. So you can please feel free to select the 1 or even 2 most important for you. Yeah, so we know we are facing a lot of the planning challenges during the daily work. So such as the accurate demand forecast, automated replenishment order plans, responding to supplier unpredictability, compensating for historical data disruptions, or even the forecasting demand for new products. Yeah, so please just tell us which concerns you the most. So based on your information, your input, we can talk about further on that today. Yes. Yeah, so please take time to select 1 or 2 that's most important for you. Yeah, then we will see the results soon. Okay. All right, I think we already have the result here. Yes, so we can see the greatest supply chain planning challenge is actually the accurate demand forecast. And the second one is the forecasting demand for new products. Yeah, really good to hear that. And I believe these topics will be covered in this slide, in this webinar soon. So thank you, Shita. Now it's your turn. Please go ahead.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I do see the poll results where the maximum option that was selected was the very first one, which is accurate demand forecast, which is a struggle. So today's topic, I would definitely discuss on how do we go about improving our forecast accuracy, or how do we predict our demand more accurately. And that's one of the topics that we'll cover via demand sensing, and that's where we would we have seen a lot of inputs as well. So let's get going. I hope you are able to see my screen.
Yes. Now it's loading. Oh.
Okay, so started screen share. So it is loading.
Yes.
One second. Not sure why that would happen.
Oh, it just appears and you close it.
Yes, I did, because it's still loading. Lou, would it be possible for you to share your screen for some reason?
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So be very, if you go to the next section, which is on-demand forecasting, which is forecasting and stocking. So basically, what exactly is forecast? And that's something that I wanted to cover. Forecast is basically an unbiased estimate of future value, and it's very important for us as planners and users in this industry to determine what are we trying to forecast, why are we trying to forecast, who are we, for whom are we trying to forecast, and when should we forecast, right? So if you answer these four questions, we are almost halfway through in, getting our demand right. What are we trying to focus? Are we trying to focus our customer sales? Are we trying to focus our shipments? Or is it, some other information? Are we trying to, and then who are we trying to focus for? Is it for the production planners? Is it for the logistics team? Is it for the, the purchase team? Who exactly is our customer, is the customer of that forecast? We need to determine that, and that's going to result in us creating better demand patterns. And that again would result in when should we forecast, right? So if we are trying to forecast for production planners, they would possibly need this information or need the forecast a couple of months in advance. If you're trying to forecast for try to provide the forecast for the logistic or the dispatch team, they may possibly need it within months, right? Or just a couple of weeks should be fine for them when they get the forecast. So again, it's a very important question. When are we trying to forecast and measure our accuracy as per it? So that basically is the first step in trying to determine an unbiased estimate for the right set of user and the right set of forecast. And we all know that accurate forecast would help in supplying the right amount of inventory or at the right location at the right time once we know who exactly is the user. And the accuracy of the forecast ultimately helps us determine our safety stock, because there is always some sort of uncertainty, and this uncertainty is managed by maintaining right amount of safety stock. And the right amount of safety stock, or basically safety stock, essentially would help us or basically overall inventory would help us determine how do we service our customers and how much inventory are we carrying, right? So it helps. If my accuracy is correct, if my accuracy is good, then it would help us determine, a better customer service level and reduce our overall inventory cost and help us optimize our inventory levels accurately. So Luke, you can go to the next slide. Yes, now forecast accuracy versus safety stock. Now this has been a debate for long. How do we determine our safety stock, and how does accuracy in turn would help us manage our inventories better? So we have taken up two scenarios. One is for a product which has short lead time of about 1 to 2 weeks, and another product which is a long lead time of about 4 to 6 weeks. And for a product or for two products which have short lead time, one scenario where we have very high accuracy and one scenario where we have low accuracy. And let's see how there would be an impact on our safety stock versus demand. So if a product has a short lead time, then we would want to look at how accurate our forecast for that particular product is. If we are quite accurate, then the amount of coverage that we would want to keep for our lead time can be low, which is in this case, for example, we're keeping 25% of lead time as a coverage. So if my lead time is 10 days for both the products, where we have good accuracy and low accuracy, for one scenario, we are able to manage this right amount of inventory, which is quite low, because we are accurate. We are trying to keep only 25% of lead time as our coverage. But in a scenario where our accuracy is low, we are trying to keep very high inventory, which is 50% of lead time as our coverage. So if my lead time is 10 days and if my monthly demand is 715, so for days of cover that we would want to maintain, the first scenario is 2.5, and in the second scenario it is 5, right? So the daily demand is 25, and the safety stock that we would maintain in the first segment is 63 units, and the second segment it is 125, which is the first scenario is 8% of my overall inventory is 8% is my safety stock of my demand, and in the second scenario it is 17%. So my safety stock doubles when my accuracy is low, and that would have a significant impact on my overall inventory. And the idea of having a good accuracy is to optimize our inventory levels. Now, in the second scenario, when our lead times are high, you would see that this number would really increase to a large extent. So if my accuracy is good, in the second scenario where we have 4 to 6 weeks of lead time, and if my accuracy is good, we would be able to manage with just 15% of lead time or 15% of demand as my safety stock coverage or my coverage. And for a product which has low accuracy, we would want to maintain a higher coverage, which is 25% of lead time and 25% of demand. And for the same set of monthly demand, for the same set of lead time, we would end up keeping a higher inventory for a product where our accuracy is low, which is 25%. And this is very critical for us to analyze our supply chain, our inventory levels. If my safety stock is greater than 25% of my overall demand, then there is a clear issue in our forecast, which in turn is which could be caused because of demand uncertainty or supplier uncertainty. And I did notice that a couple of participants mentioning that supplier uncertainty is one of their biggest challenge. And in fact, Streamline did host a webinar yesterday where they did speak about what are the different strategies that can be taken up to reduce supplier uncertainty. And there were a couple of good strategies that they had spoken about in that webinar. One of it was around, synchronizing the orders, making it more of a periodic exercise, making the orders to be generated at a periodic basis rather than at a min-max level, which could end up generating higher number of orders, resulting in higher number of purchase order to be generated. But if we have a periodic schedule, we can give better visibility to our supplier in terms of when we would need a product and of how much unit we would need a product. And this is something that Streamline does exceptionally well, and something that we can show on the call today as well. So just wanted to touch upon some of these topics. Now, demand uncertainty, how we can reduce it. There are various factors, by looking at demand signals, and that's something that we would be talking about today. Now, the demand uncertainty and supplier uncertainty would ultimately result in us being out of stock or us keeping a very high safety stock, right? Now, what are the reasons for demand uncertainty or potential stock out? It could be demand fluctuation, it could be sales forecasting error. The sales team might be giving a higher number versus the actual demand. That could result in lower accuracy, and then us not being able, or they can give low numbers. So that could result in us going out of stock. The sales team sometimes tend to withhold the information till the last moment, and that results in a reduction, of our inventory. We are not able to manage those last-minute orders accurately, which results in stockouts. The poor supplier performance is also another another factor which can result in potential stockouts. If our suppliers are not providing us the stock on time, that can result in us being out of stock. Logistic incidents, quality incidents, operational reliability. So all of these factors tend to contribute to potential stock outs or out of stock situations. Now, in order to be able to mitigate all of this risk, we may end up keeping a very high inventory, which could result in higher holding costs, and keeping inventory which is quite high, and we might end up exhausting our shelf life, and there could be damages or quality deterioration. So ultimately, both of these situations would result in a lower customer service level and high inventory value, which is not desirable for any business. And that's something that we have to be wary about, and that's something that we will have to be careful when we are planning as to how do we mitigate such risk, right? So that's something that we would be looking at. So now let's move towards doing a demonstration of Streamline application. I would like to showcase the same as to how Streamline application is, is quite powerful in terms of determining and accurately projecting. Lou, let me know if my screen is visible, if the screen of the Streamline application is visible.
Not yet. Yeah, I can see it now.
Perfect. Great. So this is the Streamline application that we have. We have created a dummy example over here where we have some finished goods, some raw material, and some new launches, as we have seen in one of the examples where people do struggle with new launches. So we may touch upon that segment as well. But from the finished good perspective, now we have created a scenario where this company is into different segments. One is consumer goods, food and beverage, pharmacy. And as you would notice, as I'm selecting each of these examples, my screen on this portion is automatically changing, right? So that's something that's very easy to use in Streamline application. All we have to do is just upload the data, and the data would be ready in this format. So if I would look over here, we have different approaches which basically Streamline application will follow. So we have automatic selection, seasonal and trend model, linear trend model, constant level, and all of this, where Streamline automatically would run through each and every series to determine which is the best and accurate method to generate a forecast. So in this case, I'm just selecting one example. Let's see if this is a good example. So yeah, so the gray color line that you would see on the graph, this is my historical sales data, and system automatically uses this historical sales data to generate an accurate forecast. I'm just going to hide some segment of data. So yes. So in this case, the gray color line is my historical sales data, and system automatically uses all of these different methods and options available to determine an accurate forecast. So system uses a decision tree, first of all, to determine that out of the total data length that's available, how much of, how much data should we use to generate an accurate trend. So the trend is automatically determined by decision trees in Streamline application, and then Streamline application would run through these different methods which are available. Primarily, it uses time series decomposition technique to determine the best fit forecast method. It basically does a test and determines if there is seasonality in the data or not. There's some seasonal tests which are done. So in this case, system is using a seasonal and trend method. And the model details, all the model coefficients is available over here. So in which month we have, higher than average sales, and which month we have peaks and troughs is all determined over here. And one of the factors that we would see over here is safety stock standard deviation, which is nothing but a demand variation, which system basically calculates based on the model fitment of in the history, that determines how much is my supply, safety stock variation, or basically demand variation, which essentially is a factor in determining a safety stock, and something that we'll talk in next few slides. So that's how Streamline application would generate the forecast, and the red color line that you would see is the forecast generated by the system. And this would be different for different items or different locations as we would select on the screen. So we have the actual sales, or the information that you see on the graph. We would see the information on the grid as well in the similar fashion. So we would have actual sales, we have statistical forecast. I as a user can feed in my input and say, hey, look, the forecast is high. Let's make it to 1300, and we can do that. And all of my calculation would be would depend on this information that we would be feeding in the application. So just wanted to give an overview of how Streamline application can generate accurate forecast. What are the different techniques that it basically uses to figure out the right set of demand. Now, in this case, system is not only looking at my forecast, but system is also looking to optimize our inventory levels. So in this case, we have about 1,360 unit of inventory. And if I go over here, it tells me that this inventory I'll be able to last for 15 days. And it tells me that I have to ship to my customer 1,549 units, and I will be receiving some 370 units right now. And I have a 30-day order cycle. So it automatically tells me that I'll have a potential stock out of 8,690 units. And this is a critical information that possibly we can call up our suppliers and try to expedite the orders in this case. And another important feature that I would possibly showcase or talk about is, and I would want to move to a different view over here and possibly look at an example. So in this case, I'm just opening another example where Streamline as an application would automatically try to reduce the stock out to something that we can automatically see in our ordering plan and our So over here, for example, at the beginning, when we are over here, it is highlighting some numbers and pins, which essentially indicate that this is where there would be a potential stock out, and dark green would indicate that we would have higher amount of inventory, and a system would try to reduce my projected inventory levels if I am carrying a high inventory. So it would not generate orders for that, but if I am facing a stock out, then it would try to maintain the inventory. And you would notice that over a period of time, my inventory is normalized. So neither it is in red zone, neither it is in dark green zone, which essentially indicates an imbalance in our inventory. So that's something that you would get a visibility of immediately from the application. So yeah, that's something that we have. So for example, in this case, we have quite high amount of inventory, and over here, Streamline is not generating any ordering plan for next couple of months till the inventory reaches the state where we can clearly say, hey, look, this is the right amount of inventory. We are not really carrying excess inventory, as Streamline is automatically predicting that we have roughly around 14,919 unit in excess, so it will not generate any further orders. And cases where we have stock outs, it would generate orders so that we get to reach the right and optimum amount of inventory level quickly. Okay, so that's something that we just wanted to show in terms of how do we look at Streamline application and how Streamline application can help you with managing your accuracy as well as your inventory level overall. Now, the next segment that we have, I'll try to do the slideshow again. I hope the screen remains and comes up quickly. And if it does not, I'll request you to share the screen. Let's just, yeah, okay, perfect. I hope it's visible now,
Yes, yeah, we can see it now.
Perfect. So now safety stock, as we have seen in the previous segment, that safety stock is primarily dependent on demand variability and supply variability. And both of these factors have a very high impact on how do we go about calculating our safety stock. And safety stock primarily, if we talk about demand variability, we would have a hit on our forecast accuracy. So that becomes an important component of measuring the safety stock or calculating the safety stock. The lead time, which essentially would determine supply variability, is also a component of my safety stock. And finally, the service level. What is the service level that we are trying to achieve for our customers, right? The safety stock essentially is determined to increase our service level and at the same time reduce our inventory costs. And these are two different objectives. And the idea is to balance the inventory in a way which can help us with right size of inventory. And this is where we would want to at least move to the Streamline calculations in Streamline application as to how Streamline application is trying to determine the safety stocks. As you can see, we have an option over here in the inventory tab setting. One is service level. So the service level is where we determine, do we want to service our customer 98% of time or is it 95% of time? And as we would change, you would notice there would be a change in the service factor. So for a service level of 98%, our service factor is 2.05. Which is then multiplied by my standard deviation, which is nothing but my demand variability. And demand variability, as we have seen in the Streamline application, it is determined by the model fitment of my past data. That's where the demand variability would come in. And then we have the square root of cycles, which essentially is, which basically is determined by how many times are we ordering, what is our lead time, and all of that information. So that's where Streamline application automatically determines our safety stock. So if I change my service factor over here, and that's something that I can do on the fly as well. So if I can change it to say 19, then it may change my safety stock in case. Let me change the settings once more. Let me just remove future demand. And if I do that, as you can see now, my safety stock has reduced to 1,227 units. So that's something that Streamline application will do for us. So this is from calculating and maintaining the right set of inventory depending on our service factor and our lead time, etc. But very important factor is on how do we accurately, how do we accurately, predict our demand? Is there a way that we can shorten the response, from the time when we receive a signal to the time that we act on it? And typically, when we look at a time series forecasting process, right, when we are forecasting on a monthly basis, it becomes difficult to determine or difficult to change the forecast midway, right? You have frozen the forecast for the current month, and all your supply calculations are happening based on that. And by the time that you would reach at the end of the month, it might be too late to do the course correction. And that's where we have something called as demand sensing that's available in the system. So you can clearly see the plethora of options available over here. We have option to look at price elasticity, the holidays that on which we are running promotions, the seasonal factors which we would want to create into the system, the promotions, and all of these informations are quite critical in terms of fine-tuning our forecast further. But an equally important factor over here is the demand sensing feature, and that's something that we can look over here. So let's look at the presentation once and understand a little bit more on how Streamline is using demand sensing feature to optimize our inventory, and also how we can estimate and what exactly demand sensing is. So I think it would take about a minute to just load the data. So we have the we have the option. So basically, demand sensing is primarily used because with a monthly monthly time series forecasting technique, we would not be able to respond to short-term fluctuations in the demand faster. And that's what demand sensing is trying to do. It is trying to eliminate the supply chain lag by reducing the time between the event and the response to those events. So instead of waiting for the entire month, if you are in the middle of the month, can we respond faster to that situation? And that's something that we will see with few examples as well. So the goal is to, overall reduce the time taken, to respond to that demand signal. There are various demand signals out there, but you as an organization, or us as an organization, can pick and choose the information that would work out best for us. It could be any promotional campaign. It could be weather information that might have an impact. But if you have that necessary data, then that can be incorporated, provided we have AI ML based technique to be able to determine those short-term variations impact. What Streamline is using, it basically is using your existing sales data. So for example, if you are on 7th of the month, or if you are on 15th of the month, we look at our month to date sales, and if the sale is quite high or quite low, and if that's the case, then we can activate this demand sensing feature, which will automatically increase the forecast if if we have certain fluctuation in sales on a positive side. And that would ultimately result in automatically increasing our order quantity. And that's something that will allow us to work faster to respond on these events, right? So Streamline basically leverages the incomplete period to refine and adjust our forecast. And in instance of unexpectedly high sales during the middle of the month, the demand sensing feature would automatically make intelligent predictions for remaining days of the month. And it will account for your current sales trend and how much time is left in the period. This would ensure that your sales forecast is always up to date, accurate, and reliable. We really cannot focus on static monthly forecast to optimize our inventory. If there has to be a faster way and approach for us to do that, then we should leverage such technology to respond faster, to optimize our inventory level, and to reduce the stock out situation or overstocking situations as we go along. So let's look at a couple of examples that I would want to show. And for that, let's go here. So I've taken one example of a SKU, which is, in fact, there are two SKUs, but it's exact same demand. I'm just going to open that up over here. Okay. So in this case, we would look at what is my current demand. So if we are forecasting at a month level, then how would that demand look like? Yeah, so in this case, we have this product, which is an SKU, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He'll just give us some random name. We can see clearly that there are some seasonal spikes in the data, and system is able to capture those seasonal spikes. But in the month of June, the forecast that the system is generating is around 23,000. And if you look at past sales, I mean, the system is doing a pretty decent job. Last year, we did around 23,000, and then it doesn't seem like that there is any significant trend over here. There's slight trend, so system is predicting a sale of about 23,000 for this particular product. Now, this is a scenario at the beginning of the month, right? So it is generating an order of, it's telling that we currently have 9,344 unit of inventory on hand, which is roughly about 12 days of supply. We have a lead time of about 7 days and order cycle of, lead time of 10 days and order cycle of 7 days. So it tells me that we need to maintain a safety stock of about 3,028 units if I want to maintain a 98% service level. And we need to place an order of 7,638 units immediately to be able to ensure that we do not go out of stock or overstock. So my stock out and overstocking is 0 at the moment. So we are at a perfect inventory place. But let's look at a second scenario where after 7 days, when we have placed the order, what would happen? Now, in this case, 7 days have passed and we have basically generated a sale of about 7,000 units for the month of June, and we are still predicting 23,256 units. In the second scenario, where we have activated the demand sensing feature, system has automatically detected that there is going to be a higher demand based on my current sales and patterns. So it's saying that in 7 days, if I have already achieved so much sale, then it is automatically making changes only for the month of June. In the second item, with the same set of demand patterns, where we have not activated the demand sensing feature, it's continuing to project little lower, which essentially would have an impact on our current orders. Now it's saying that we need to place an order for 6,638 units. My current order would suffice for only 4 days, but we have something in transit, so we should be good in that case. And that's the reason we do not have any stock out or overstocking situation. In the second scenario, system is predicting slightly higher order over here because we have activated the demand sensing feature. Again, we are still in a good position. We are not really going to go overstocked or understocked. But then so forth, that's how, we are at present. Now we will look at another scenario that after executing this order, when we move to the next cycle, which is after 7 days, because we are placing order every 7 days weekly once. We want to look at, after 14 days, how would the demand look like? Would there be any change there? So if you look at the first item, again, we are not using a demand sensing feature. System is predicting the same demand that we had started with at the beginning of the month. Now we are looking at 14,000 sale, which has already happened. We are looking at an inventory of about 8,344 now because we had received some 7,000 inventory in the past and 6,000 prior to that. And over here, we can then see that in the second scenario, or for the second item, with the same demand, system has automatically increased our forecast further to 26,000, which would in turn mean that it would generate a higher order compared to the previous product, where we have an order of about 1,200. Over in this case, the system is automatically predicting that we need to place a slightly higher order, and that would help us ensure that we do not go out of stock. That's what Streamline application is trying to do. That if this order we will receive after, I think if we are on 14th, we should primarily receive this order on 18th or so. We can quickly see over here when the order is expected to arrive. So it is on 18th of June that we will be receiving the order. So it is automatically if you look at the explain calculation, you can look at the details around how the system is going to, consume the inventory. So currently we are on 8,344 unit. I have a demand of about 26,000 for this particular product. My per day demand is 880 unit. So by 18th, I will have, I'll receive the product on 18th. So I'll basically be sitting at 12,323 unit of stock. And for the product where we have not done any demand sensing, we would be sitting on slightly lower amount of inventory. And that's something that is really concerning, and that's where we really go wrong in not predicting or being able to sense these signals. Because had we done that, we would have been able to keep a slightly higher inventory to maintain our customer service level. Now we want to move to the next segment where we have 21 days gone by, and let's see at what situation we are in, and that's something that we would be able to see very quickly over here, that how much sale has happened now. That's something that's very important. So for the first item, I have sold about 25,000 in 21 days. For the second item, the same amount. But now we can see the system is further, it's continuing to see a higher demand. And suddenly, in the last 7 days, there is an even higher jump in sales. So imagine we were initially predicting 23,000 units, and system is now optimizing and accurately, trying to send that signal, and it is, increasing the overall demand for the entire month to be 31,976 units. In such case, system will say that, hey, look, I need to now place an order of about 5,431 units versus a product where we have not done any demand sensing. System is saying, hey, look, we will not be out of stock. And that's where we would start missing out on these signals. That's where we would go to a stock out situation, and we would possibly not have sufficient amount of inventory because we did not get that signal, right? We did not get that signal. In the second segment, we did receive a signal saying, hey, we might be stocked out by 535 units if the current demand pattern continues. And that's something that I wanted to highlight on today's call as to how we really can benefit from using demand signals to be able to, constantly improve upon our inventory levels and optimizing our inventory levels. So let's go back to the presentation, and if we would look at some of the impact of demand sensing on our complete supply chain. One is it helps us, improve our forecast accuracy. That's something that we have seen as well, right? So when my month-to-date sales is increasing, my system is able to better sense that signal and predicting that, hey, instead of doing 23,000, which it was estimating at the beginning, it said we would possibly do 32,000 unit of sales in that month. So it automatically tries to improve the accuracy. And then it also helps us in improve inventory requirement, reduce transportation costs, increase service level, and overall provides a more responsive framework to fulfill demand in short term with precision. That's the overall idea of demand sensing. And I'm really happy to showcase this feature in Streamline today. It's very easy to use. It's just with one click, we can select or deselect this demand sensing feature, and automatically system will start optimizing our inventory levels. So now I will hand over to Lou, who would try and walk us through the next segment. But before we do that, let's talk about the Streamline capability as an AI solution. The very first question that we are typically asked by our customers is, hey, can the solution be integrated to our ERP? And yes, the solution is quite compatible to leading ERPs, and we do have custom APIs available to be able to capture all of the data from your master records in your ERP and then help you with demand forecasting, demand planning, sales forecasting. It allows you for collaboration among different users. Because in the interest of time, we did not get into the details of how we can collaborate, but there is an override option where different users can create their own, override row, and they would be able to build overall consensus process. Streamline, as we have seen, it automatically looks at optimizing the inventory levels. If we feed in the BOM information, it would automatically generate a material requirement plan and a dynamic simulation. So if we, provide the information of our supply chain and, Streamline has a time series option where we can basically stress test the system and simulate how our supply chain would look like, if we start executing the orders using Streamline, then what would be the situation, say 3 months down the line, or 2 months down the line, or a month down the line. So we can do a lot of simulations in the system as well. So overall, a very easy to use system, a very quick to set up system, and something that we are happy to use on a regular basis. Over to you, Lou, if you want to add anything here, and I'll stop presenting.
Yes, I can present now. Okay, so thank you so much, Shita, to elaborate a lot about the Streamline and also the demand sensing we are talking about today. So for more details, actually, we really have the good articles we can share with you here. So like how AI can streamline sales and operations planning, and also talk about like 5 ways AI can benefit demand forecasting and inventory planning. So we highly recommend you to read them through, and you can find more details, and that's for sure the value that we can bring to you. Yeah, and now it will go to the last phase, is the Q&A session. Actually, we already see some of our attendees ask the questions here. So the first one is from WCU, because now we since Shita just talked about that we can set the service level and to change the inventory. So WCU is actually asking, can we do the inverse, like meaning we set our target inventory and determine the impact to the service level? Yeah, Shita, could you please elaborate on that?
Yeah, so thanks, Lou, for sharing this question. So Streamline at present would not really provide you with this inverse functionality where we set the target inventory. I'm assuming by that you mean, if you would say that, hey, look, I want to maintain 1,000 units of inventory, then what would be the impact on our service level? No, Streamline is more dynamic in nature, where it suggests how much inventory you would want to maintain based on your service level. However, Streamline would say, for example, if you have your current inventory level, right? So Streamline is automatically telling you how many days of supply this would be. So that can possibly essentially tell you whether, and it's whether how many days of supply would that be for. And also it tells you if there is going to be any potential stock out or not, and by how much unit you will be stocked out. So that's something that can help you determine those, whether you would be able to service your customer. If you're going out of stock, you would be able to determine your service level, but it would not do the reverse. To answer the question.
Yeah, thank you, Shita. Yeah, and here one more question is, how does system calculate the impact of price changes and the promotions to demand? Yeah.
So we have regression methods available over here. In the system, where system basically looks at promotions. Possibly I can show you. So we can feed in the data of from what time period to what time period a promotion was run. We can provide the information of how much discount we had provided during that time period. So Streamline would automatically try to smoothen the data in such cases, but it would also determine that because of this promotion, how much sale did we do, right? And that's an information that it would take that we can take as a user, we can take in the future, and we can say, hey, look, now I want to run a different amount of promotion. Then system would determine, depending on number of days that we are running the promotion for and the overall discount amount that we are running, it will determine what will be the increase in sales that we can expect in future. So it does a regression to answer the question straight. It does a regression on the series along with my time series forecasting to determine the impact.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shita. I think that's quite clear here. And the last question, does Streamline fit e-commerce needs? Yeah, definitely we can capable for different scenarios like manufacturing, retail, distributor, and even e-commerce. Yeah. So Shita, do you have anything to add here especially for the e-commerce?
Right. So we have several customers in different space. We have, in fact, very recently implemented our solution for e-com company in India over here, and they sell various kids products via e-com platform, and they do capture the sales from those e-com platforms. They do sell on to their own website and to these marketplaces. And Streamline is able to help them, optimize their inventory levels and also determine an accurate demand there.
So, yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I think for today, because the time limitation, we can't really talk to everyone here. But if you have any further questions or the topic you want to talk with us, so you can book the free consultation with us. So the link of it is already sent out in the comment box. Yeah, so please feel free to book a free consultation with us. So we are really glad to talk with you about your concerns, your challenges, and to see how we can support you and what kind of the value we can bring to you. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you to come to the webinar, and thank you, Shita, to share your expertise on this. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Yeah, thank you. Bye, everyone. Take care. Bye.